Hello guys, so today we're gonna understand a little bit more about hair color charts. And if you're new to my channel, please watch this video. It's called What Nobody Tells You About Hair Color. Without those basics, you won't be able probably to understand very well this video. So last time I showed you everything, all those hair colors in 3 cans of paint: red, yellow, and blue. So this is 3 colors that all hair colors basically consist of. But let's now understand the basics of hair color charts. I'm not gonna go deep into each chart because every brand, they are doing their charts a little bit differently. Even hairdressers, every time they start working with a new brand, they whether visit some seminars about this particular brand and how they work with colors and what does it mean, so how to read their chart, for example. They have instructions. There are different kinds of cream colors. There are cream colors that are very stable. It's called permanent hair color. They go very deep into the hair and they stay longer. And there are demi-permanent and semi-permanent hair colors that are not as stable, so they wash off your hair gradually. The more you wash your hair, the more gradually it washes off because it stays more or less on the surface of the hair. Many people are using those demi-permanent and semi-permanent as toners, so-called toners. Toner is something that is giving your hair a special tone or counteracting or fighting with unwanted tones in your hair. Many of us probably, we're trying to be blondes, we bleach our hair to a bright yellow color and then we want to counteract it with a purple. There's a science behind that. Today I'm also going to use 3 cans of paint to explain this so it would be easier for us to understand. I probably won't cover each hair color. As I said, there are loads of different charts, but I'm just gonna show you just some of them so you would be able yourself to read them and understand them a little bit more. But you're not buying this particular hair color you want unless you know how it's gonna combine with your color that you have now. The result you get is not exactly as in this chart. It's this color on this chart plus your own color that you have now. Because it's not like you're painting the room and you're like overlapping this color completely, right? Probably many of you already know this, but I just wanted to remind you this so it will be more fresh in your head. Now, majority of charts have the levels of colors, the depth of colors. A majority of charts, it's from 1 to 12 or from 1 to 10, where 1 is black hair color, the darkest that can be, and 12, 11, or 10 is the lightest hair color, as blonde as it can be, and many colors in between. 10, 11, 12 is probably platinum blondes, I would say, and 1 is black. Every chart has its number. So when you come to the shop, for example, yesterday I went to Sally's Beauty Supply, so I just wanted to buy some hair colors for myself. I have a special bleaching my hair routine, so if you're interested, I'm gonna make a video about my own hair routine, how I color them, like how I tone it and stuff like that. So I'm gonna actually try new products soon, so if you're interested, let me know. So they have loads of charts. They have loads of numbers of colors. And if you remember, when it's darker, we have loads of cans of paint, many reds, many yellows, many blues, loads of cans of paint, a lot of pigment itself in there. Same with hair cream color. If you see the number 1 there, number 2, number 3, very dark browns, you can assume that they have loads of cans of paint in there. It's very, very intense. Loads of blues, loads of reds, loads of yellows. Or if you see 8, you know that they probably have much less paints of colors. So probably the basic of this color is transparent gel. And into this transparent gel, maybe 3 or 4 cans of yellow is added, 3 or 4 cans of red, and 3 or 4 cans of blue. Not as many as in 1, and not as little as in 11. For example, if you see 11, then you may assume that probably there is just 1 can of yellow, 1 can of red, and 1 can of blue, and the rest is transparent gel. You see, there's just not many colors in there. So that substance is almost colorless. And this is created specifically for if you don't want to overload your hair. If you're going for blondes, then you don't want to add too much color in there. So in my last video, we talked about natural colors, which is neutral, which is brown. Basically, all the hair colors are brown, more or less, if there's not extra cans of paint added here or here. So neutral is brown, and brown, it has equal amount of red, blue, and yellow. It's just when it's dark neutral, dark brown, it has many cans of paint, but it has equal amount of them. If it's light, then it has just less amount of cans of paint, but it still will be equal, red, blue, and yellow. So from 1 to 12, it was the levels, the depth of color, darkness and lightness of color, right? So, but we also have tones. What is tone? It's a color itself. It's an additional color. It's a combination of those cans of paint. In some hair colors, they can look cooler, so more blue cans of paint are added in there. Some hair colors can be warmer, so more orange cans of paint, or more yellow or more red cans of paint are added in there, and so on and so on. So this all is just combination of all those colors. So first we're gonna talk about the neutral. So every hair color chart has whether a letter standing with a number or number. Some charts have similarities in those numbers. Some charts, they don't. Very often, for example, 1 stands for blue or ash. So sometimes when I see somebody's presenting me a formula and they say, I use 8.1 on her roots, or 8.1, I can assume that probably she's choosing 8, which is level, which is blonde, and 1, which is ash. So as I understand, she's making her roots color medium blonde, ashy, you know? So this is kind of like a language, how we can talk to each other about this, because the way how people describe colors is also different. We all have different eyes. We don't know much about how we can describe this or that color, but it's getting much easier with just numbers. Or for example, like somebody said 5.3, 5 dark brown color, approximately there, or just brown color, and 3 stands, in many cases, stands for golden tone. So she probably has this dark brown hair color with golden undertone in it. So when she goes out in the sun, I can see golden shine, not red shine, not blue shine, but golden shine. Now, many brands, they have a letter instead of those tones, so not to overcomplicate things. So in many cases, N stands for neutral, A stands for ash, which is like bluish, V stands for violet, and violet is red plus blue added in there. G as gold, C as copper. So sometimes the orange color, yellow plus red, they name copper, and so on and so on. The names are also vary from chart to chart. I'm gonna show you just examples so you will see this. But first we're gonna talk about neutral, because neutral, every chart has neutral line, from the darkest to the lightest neutral. Normally, lightest neutral would be beige color. So beige basically is same brown, but just very light brown, very, very light brown. But it has 3 equal amount of all 3 paints, yellow, red, and blue. But it's beige blonde, you know, it's very light, neutral, blonde color. It's neutral because it's not warm, not cool. It's not more blue, it's not more yellow, and it's not more red. Very much balanced, very much in the middle. It's neutralized. So this is 2N on this chart. 2 neutral. 2 is very, very dark brown. It's very close to black, or we can call it even black brown. It is very dark. And neutral, meaning that it doesn't have any golden undertones or red undertones in it, or 2 blue undertones. You can't recognize those undertones in there. It's very neutral. You can't name it basically. 3N, it's a bit lighter than 2N, right? So it has a little bit less of cans of paint, but it's still equal amount of each. Yellow, red, and blue. We go lighter and lighter and lighter. We see 7N. 7N is already much lighter, so it has less amount of cans of paint, but it still has yellow, red, and blue equal amounts of those paint cans. So it would be easier for you to predict the color basically. 10N, it's even lighter than that. It's probably just 1 can of blue, 1 can of yellow, 1 can of red. And in nature, if you see somebody who has naturally blonde hair, you can actually notice that they have pretty much these neutral beige colors. And maybe you don't see blue in there, but it is in there. It is presenting in there, because as soon as you put bleach on that hair, that blue will go away, and as a contrast, you will see how yellow, how unnaturally yellow the hair will look if you place it with the natural blonde hair color. Now, ash. What is ash? Basically, if you burn something, you have ash left, and that ash has this bluish grayish color to it. So this is why we have this color explained like ashy blonde or ashy brown color. That means just it's in a cooler side. It's something that has a couple of additional blue cans of paint in there. Some charts, they have just blue addition, but most of them, I think they have ash. For example, if we see 9 ash, 9A, then it's a blonde color. So probably it has just 1 can of yellow, 1 can of blue, 1 can of red. But as far as it's ash, it has 1 additional can of blue color. That's what you have to understand. And then understanding your own hair color, how many of cans of paint you have, you then have to combine those 2 formulas, and then as a result you will see, you can predict what color you will get in the end. Will it be too blue? Will it be too yellow still? Will it be too purplish? Will it be green sometimes even? So you can predict knowing your own hair color and the hair color that you're looking for. Now we have V, it's violet. Violet is red plus blue. So many of them, they put it as the letter V, violet. So in violet, we have extra red and extra blue. A little bit less yellow, but on different level, we have some yellows too. If we go to level 6, for example, it's like medium brown color or lighter brown color, yeah? We have all 3 cans of paint in there, several of them, several of yellow, several of red, several of blue. So we still have some yellow in there. It's just it has a bit more red and a bit more blue. This is why it's more to a violet kind of side. But the higher we go, the lighter we go, the less cans of paint we have. So approximately the level of 10, they probably still have some yellow in there too. Maybe half of a can of yellow, and if it's 10 violet, for example, maybe half a can of yellow, and then 1.5 of red, 1.5 of blue. So it still has a little bit more of red and blue, but it still has yellow in it. This is why every time you bleach your hair to as white as bleach, you still, if you apply some 10V on your hair, it's going to be slightly darker because you're still adding all 3 colors back in there. It's just some colors are predominant, there are more of them to counteract unwanted yellows, for example, if you have them. Now there is sometimes double tones, A and V, for example, 7AV. What does it mean? It means 7 is a level, it's a dark blonde, A is ash, and V is violet. And what does it mean? Let's put a formula here. Let's say approximately that it has 3 cans of paint of each. 3 yellows, 3 blues, 3 reds. But as far as it's ash, we're adding 1 extra blue paint in there. And as far as it's also violet, we're adding blue and red in there. So we're adding 1 extra red, 1 extra blue. So this is the formula of this particular color we have. So you see, it doesn't have enough yellow, but maybe you have enough yellow on your roots. Let's say you just bleached your hair and you have a lot of yellow and you don't have enough of red and you don't have enough of blue in there to neutralize that yellow. So this would probably be the perfect one for you, because let's say you have 2 cans of yellow in your hair, that would be perfect. See, it's just the problem is resolved. It was made for each other. Your natural hair and this particular hair cream color were made for each other, and they neutralized themselves so well, so it looks like neutral brown color, light brown color on the 7th level, just exactly the way you wanted it. Of course, maybe you wanted it to be a little bit more ashy. You can add some more blue in there, just buy an extra, just a blue toner, and just add a little dot of the blue in there, and this is how you can manipulate your color into warmer or into cooler position. Now, from my viewpoint, cool colors, blues and ashiness and violets, they can sometimes be very intense first several days after you just colored your hair, but then normally they wash away very fast, especially if it's a demi-permanent hair color or a semi-permanent hair color. So blue goes away first, always, even in this case, when you're adding it. So I prefer to over ash a little bit, and then after several washes, it will give me that beautiful, neutral, slightly cool tone of my roots, rather than I would just make it neutral today and in a couple of washes, my yellow will shine through. So this is another thing to consider, but we're gonna talk about this later. For now, you just have to understand how to combine your own formula of your hair that you have now and the cream color that you want to add in there, and how they combine together, and what kind of hair color you're getting in the end. Now, sometimes that is NW, for example. W stands for warm, N stands for neutral. Neutral warm. What does it mean? It means that neutral, if it has 3 equal amounts of yellow, red, and blue, and it has additional warmth in that. So it doesn't have enough blue color. So it has a little bit more of yellow and red. It just depends on which level it is. If we go very light, for example, if we go for 9 NW, that means we have 9 neutral warm color. As far as it's very light, so we probably have a little bit more yellow in there. Maybe not so much red, and of course not so much blue. It has all 3 colors for sure there, but just as an addition, it just has probably 1 extra yellow and maybe half of extra red probably. Still on 9, yes, this still has a little bit of red. Now if we go down, if we go to a darker hair color, let's say we go to 6NW. 6NW, 6 neutral, that would mean that we have, for example, 5 red cans, 5 yellow cans, and 5 blue cans. But then that warm gives us understanding that it doesn't have enough blue in there, so probably there's more red and more yellow a little bit in this particular one. Normally women using it just to make their hair color more warm. Not so much to counteract unwanted tones, I would say. Not so much for that purpose. Maybe sometimes if they feel like they overcooled their hair, just to make them very cool. But as I said before, these cool colors, they normally wash off very fast. Unless your hairstylist just really overdone that ashy tone on you and he used very permanent hair color, so it's not gonna leave you, and then probably you might think about counteracting it with some warmth. But mostly I think somebody just might desire that particular hair color. Mocha. Some people have hard times to explain what mocha means, and isn't it just the brown? Isn't it just a neutral brown like we used to see it? No, mocha is brown with a little of addition of red color, extra red. So if we look at mocha color, for example, we choose 6M. We have still 3 equal amount of each cans of paint, yellows, reds, and blues. But as an addition, we have 1 extra red color in there. This is mocha. It's like a wooden effect of a wood, a little bit wooden color. So it always will give you some redness. Even if you go for a very, very light mocha color, like on the level of 9 or 10, it will still give you a little bit more pink effect. It will be beige as a base, beige, like neutral, with some extra red in there. So that will be a little bit pinkish, slightly. I know it because I tried this particular ones. And for some people, redness on their hair just doesn't fit their tone. For example, for me, redness in my hair just doesn't fit my tone. I look very sick and very pale if I have at least any redness in my hair, unless it's bright pink or something. I never tried bright pink. I just tried the application on my phone and I liked it, you know, especially when I was very, very tan. But if we talk about very neutral hair color, beige hair color that is close to my skin tone with some addition of redness, it just collapses with my skin color and I look absolutely sick. But for some women, it looks gorgeous on them, very gentle and very beautiful. It's still not strawberry blonde because the pigment there is brownish, it's a bit muddy, it's dull, it's not bright, it's not clear. Strawberry blonde is still, it's very pure, clear and light and very precise color. But in this case, it's very close to beige. It just has some tint of red in there. But some women look amazing. They love this mocha. But again, not every brand has this mocha hair color. And here I'm showing you different levels of this mocha. And as far as this is showing us demi-permanent hair color, which is not very intense, stable, and doesn't go very deep into the hair, it just basically sits on the surface of the hair. So it's not very stable and it's not very intense. Here, it just shows you how it would look on the lighter hair and how it would look on the darker hair, like what tint it would give it. But it just gives a little tint to it. Another thing that I wanted to add, some people, they just bleach their hair to a very light yellow blonde and it doesn't even look looks sometimes that it needs some toner, then why do people use the toner on top? So basically, when you're bleaching your hair, you open in the cuticles of your hair, and they're opened, and your hair can break very easily. To close the cuticles and to kind of put back the color in there, because the color of the hair, it was the body of the hair. The hair was thicker with these colors. You removed all the colors, so the hair is empty. And just to fill it back in, even if you put some transparent demi-permanent hair color, transparent. Sometimes I used to buy transparent one for my ends, for example, because I liked how pale yellow color of my ends, and I didn't want to put any toner on this, because any toner I felt like it is interfering with this pure buttery color. So I didn't want to interfere, I didn't want to add anything even ashy to that, but I still wanted to fill in those hairs so from time to time, so they would not just break. So I would buy transparent gel. Sometimes I would add a little bit of other toners in there just to give that maybe some beige shine or more neutral shine sometimes. So I would add, I don't know, 10 ash slightly to that transparent gel, and then I would apply it on my hair, and they would be very shiny, and it would close the cuticles, and for some time, for many weeks, my hair would be just healthier, and they would not break so much, and they will look just thicker. They feel thicker after demi-permanent hair colors. So many blondes probably won't understand me. And then in some time, when it loses that pigment, it starts being slightly dull, and it's not reflecting the light very much, because the cuticles start opening again, and then they can break again. So this is what I do sometimes. Now I'm gonna show you something just interesting, but you don't have to understand it very well or go too deep into that subject. I just wanted to show you that some brands, sometimes they like to play with these 3 cans of paint, and they like to create loads of different combinations. This is the chart of one brand, and this is the page belongs only to all kinds of reds. So those are loads of different combinations of reds that they created. But the truth is, you can basically create any tone of a hair color that you want. You can just buy any of the neutral colors, and then you can buy color correctors, the ones that I talked about in this video, you know? And with those color correctors and with neutral tones, you basically can create any tone that you want. It will depend on how much of this or that you will add into the tone that you already have. And you can also buy a transparent one and just add it in there. It will be diluted, so it will be just lighter and not as intense. So basically you can create anything you want. Just out of curiosity, I just looked at this, and I'm just presenting you this information just so you would know that it also exists. So some brands do this. So this is 476. So 4 is pretty dark brown color, and then it has 7, extra 7. 7 stands for brown in this brand, and 6 stands for violet in this brand. So they have brown addition to that, so 1 extra paint of yellow, 1 extra paint of blue, 1 extra paint of red, and then violet. They have additional red and additional blue. So it creates a certain kind of tone to your hair, if again you want to go for that. Now that's another example, 743. So 7 is medium brown color, yeah, and then 4 stands for orange, and 3 stands for golden. So orange is yellow plus red, and golden is yellow. So this one, it has a certain amount of equal amount of yellow, red, and blue, and on top of that it has additional red and yellow and plus additional yellow. So this is the color combination that you will get in the end. 937. So 9 is a lighter blonde color, and then 3 stands for golden, 7 stands for brown. So it has additional yellow in there, and then additional blue, red, and yellow in there on top of that. And so it creates just a certain combination of colors. Now there are mixed tones that I explained in that video. So some people call them color correctors. Many shops nowadays, they have those clear colors. Many years ago, it wasn't that popular. I would say probably a couple of brands were doing them, when you can get purely pink or purely purple or purely violet, purely blue. It's very intense, just one of these pigment. It has nothing to do with natural hair color. All other hair color creams, they're designed specifically to create that illusion of a natural hair color with some additional tones to them. So that would create that beautiful but still natural hair color. So that would look like you was born basically with this kind of hair color. These colors are just artificial, and they are screaming that they're artificial. And some women, they whether can add them to the basic color that they already have and kind of dilute it a little bit and just make the desirable hair color, or counteract unwanted. For example, if you ended up with green hair by mistake, then you're adding just a little bit of pure red pigment into that toner that you created for yourself, and then it will counteract that green. But you don't color your hair completely bright red, of course. You're adding it a little bit to a transparent mass or to still light neutral color. You are taking, for example, I don't know, 10 neutral, and then you're adding a little bit of red in there, just a tiny bit. That will be enough to counteract that green color. So you have to have also a perception of the lightness and darkness and how many cans of paint this or that hair color has, because this green color has a lot of cans of yellow, red, and blue. It's very intense. So to counteract this green, you will have to counteract it with bright red color. But this green color is pretty light, actually. It's just muddy. It's just a little bit muddy. So a little bit of red color, just a tiny bit, or pink, it will counteract this green, and you will end up with probably medium neutral color. So you have to perceive how many cans of paint there is, how light or how dark the hair is. I can tell you that muddy hair color, something dull or ashy, that looks normally slightly darker than it actually is. So it doesn't have as much pigment as you might think it has. But once the gray color and blue color will wash away, then you will feel like the hair is lighter. But in fact, they're not light. It's not lighter. It's just an illusion that blue and ashy colors create. They give that dullness, and then they don't reflect light as good as yellows, for example. All right, I hope that was interesting. Please let me know in the comments if you found out something new. Subscribe on my Pinterest for 13 boards as an inspiration for the body types. Also, you can subscribe on my Instagram. All the links I'm gonna leave down below. Also, you can become my sponsor or subscribe on my Patreon for some exclusive videos, some early access to these videos, and just if you want to support me and my channel. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.